morning, everyone. Welcome to a super day and a super event. And on behalf of BT, I'd like to welcome you all to BT Tower. You've got a super day for your lunch on the 34th floor, so hopefully you'll have spectacular views over London. My name is Paul O'Brien. I'm Director of Research at BT Labs. I'm delighted to be with you at these Tech4Good Awards and this networking and judging event. We're privileged to support Tech4Good, and we share with Tech4Good and AbilityNet, and I'm sure most people here, an ambition to use the power of technology to transform lives and transform the world we live in. BT is very proud to support this initiative because in our DNA, in fact, our very heritage is based around technology innovation, and how we've helped transform our business, our markets and our industry, and also people's lives. In fact, we trace our heritage back to 1846, yes, or slightly prior to that, 1837, when a patent was filed by two gentlemen, Cook and Wheatstone. This was an entrepreneur and an academic, and they invented the world's first electric telegraph. It took them 9 years of passion and determination to create a new company called the Electric Telegraph Company, which then offers telegraph services which transformed the world. It allowed people to communicate in near real time. It allowed news to be transported across the globe in minutes and seconds rather than weeks and days. It allowed news to be transferred across the planet. It allowed clocks to be synchronized. So it's very much a good example of how a new innovative technology can transform the world we live in and change people's lives. And that invention continues today. So I'm based at BT Labs, and we continue to innovate in networks and services to help build the next generation of infrastructure will support the kind of applications and tools which many of the entries in this year's competition have developed. We're trying to push that technology so we can accommodate the vast explosion in content that's hitting our core network. Each year, our network, or demand on our network, grows by about 50%. That's a massive explosion of demand. And we're continually innovating. Yesterday, we announced a world first where we managed to get 13 terabits per second, for those physicists in the room that you'd understand, but 13 terabits per second through a single piece of fiber. That's a fiber about the same dimensions as a human hair. And 13 terabits per second is about 500 high-definition movies in 1 second. So, but we need that capability to transport the kind of content and applications and new tools and very innovative services which people like yourselves are developing. And so we're very passionate about these awards. Last year, I was very fortunate to be taking part in the judging of these awards, and as well as the innovative technologies, the great applications, and a lot of good that was developed by those projects. What most impressed me was the passion to succeed, the passion to deliver life-changing technologies and services which make a real difference to the target audience. And I think, therefore, they share quite a lot with Messrs. Cook and Wheatstone back in 1837, who had to try and realize a very challenging realization technology, which again transformed the world back then. So looking at this year's finalists and the broad range of high quality entries, again we see lots of passion and commitment. And so I'd like to thank you all for coming to BT today. Good luck to all the finalists and judges, and I hope you all have a super day judging and networking on this great occasion at this great venue. So now I'm going to great pleasure to hand over to Mark, who's going to take us through the rest of the day. Mark, over to you. Thank you. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Paul. And the first thing to say is that this is the 7th year of the awards, and BT and AbilityNet have put this thing together. So they don't just let us go upstairs and have some dinner and then come back down again. They're actually directly involved in lots of the stuff that we do together, and it's a partnership that we've worked on over all of that time, and it is incredible, the range of support that we get from BT, and we really wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't for them. So a huge thank you to everybody that we work with at BT. It really makes everything sing for us. So I'm going to take you through today's programme, and I'm going to do it really quickly because first on the list is speed networking. And everybody who ever comes here for this particular event, which I think we're in the third or fourth year of running it, says that's the best bit. So that's the best bit is in a minute. Next bit is the best bit. The Tech4Good People's Award, hands up if you're a finalist. Okay, well, we may split you, we may have you one group. I'm going to explain how the People's Award works, and you're going to meet the winner of last year's People's Award who's going to tell you how he won it. And we'll talk about why that's important. And then that bit with lunch should also say lunch plus view, of course, because that's upstairs. So we'll be upstairs by 1 at the latest. We've got about an hour's worth of stuff to do, and as much of that time, I'm hoping, you'll spend networking, and I'll go through some of the stuff that means and what you're going to do about that in a second. So very briefly, you don't know much about the awards, except for the bit you're in, potentially, or you're a guest here, or you're a judge. Hands up if you're a judge. I can see 1, 2, 3. There's plenty of you in the room. So the judges are here, and they're going to choose the winners this afternoon of the 8 main awards that people enter. So they have a judging session after lunch. Some other judges are coming along as well. And they're going to choose the winners in a category that you hopefully recognize as being the one that you're in. And we have 8 categories that people can enter. The Accessibility Award, the BT Connected Society Award, BT Young Pioneers Award, Community Impact Award, the Digital Skills Award, Digital Health Award, Tech4Good for Africa Award, and the Tech Volunteer of the Year Award. They're all categories that you will have entered through the entry system and which have been long-listed and then shortlisted so that we now have finalists in each group. Your names were appearing on the slides out there, and there are some packs that you're going to be given which list all of the winners, all of the current finalists for this year. And what we're going to do is tell you about the People's Award, because we have 3 other awards that you can win over and above those 8. So these are all, anybody's eligible for these. Sorry, there are 2 of them you could enter, one of them we award. So the People's Award is won by the entry of all of the 32 finalists that gets the most votes on Twitter using a hashtag that we're going to give you. We'll explain that in a bit more detail. That's why you have to stay in the room, because I have to say those words a bit more slowly. And maybe some other words. And then there's also, at the ceremony itself, which is taking place on the 11th of July, we choose our favourite winner. So by then we'll have 8 winners from the previous categories. And through the power of glow sticks, you will choose a winner of winner. That's also true. All the things I've said so far are true. And then we also have a special award, which we've conferred. Last year it was Robin Christopherson, who's the head of digital inclusion at AbilityNet, for inspiring people to use Tech4Good. And we've got a really exciting person this year, who I'm not going to tell you, but is really good. And so previous winners, Jimmy Wales, who created Wikipedia. Names that we can look to and say, great, those people are really inspiring others. So the People's Award is the number 1 concern, obviously. So I'm just going to briefly give you a couple of dates, because from now on, what we're going to talk about in terms of dates is the 2 things. The People's Award is kicking off next Monday, so if you're a finalist, you really need to start thinking about what you're going to do this week, and then we're going to announce the awards on the 11th of July. So hopefully you knew that, but those are the 2 things that are now ahead of us. The People's Award closes just before the awards ceremony, so you'll get those details in a second. So I'm going to go on and tell you a little bit more about the People's Award for those who are going to stay in the room, but I just want to give you a little bit of background to the awards, just so that you can see the breadth of what we do. So we have 2, 4, 7, lots of judges, 15, 16 judges. We have lots of different people who work with us as judges, and one of the things about the judging panel is that they're not all of the same sort of group of type or interest in terms of their knowledge or skills. I apologise, John, I noticed that this is an old version of the slide and doesn't actually say whatever it was we agreed it was going to say about you. But, so that's John. That's it, People in IT Limited. I apologise, John. I didn't add that to the slide after you told me. But a huge range of interests and knowledge. And we're going to be meeting up this afternoon, and all the judges choose the winners in all the categories. So it starts off, some categories had about, I think the most this year had 40 entries. And we have to whittle that down to a list of finalists. So we do that separately from this process. And then all of these judges see all of the 32 finalists. And what's interesting about that is that there's a huge range of crossover between all the different categories. And there's huge amounts of similarities and differences between the types of technologies that you're using, the sorts of problems you're trying to solve, the type of organization that you're from, the way in which you're working. There's quite a lot of startup-y sort of stuff going on, sort of dotted around different categories. There's stuff where people are using similar models for outreach into the community or connecting up with sort of vulnerable people, difficult to reach people. So there are lots of really interesting sort of crossovers between what you're doing. And that's exactly why this networking event is so powerful. It's because sitting around you are people, including the judges, who share interests with you and have things that they're interested in that you're interested in. And a huge range of knowledge and expertise between all of us here that we can share. And that's why we created this day, specifically to enable you to get to know each other better. When you go to the awards ceremony, that's nearly 3 times bigger in terms of the numbers of people who are there. And obviously the main focus is what's happening on stage in terms of people being announced as winners, and lots of air kissing and all that sort of stuff. And at that point, what we noticed by bringing this event in is that people going to that event actually recognize one another and can talk to each other, whereas at the event itself, it's a little bit harder. There's much less networking time and a lot more sitting and watching what's happening in the actual presentation time. So today is your chance to find out who else you've been nominated with, see if there's anybody in the room that could be of interest to you, find out why we've invited other guests who are here and what sort of interest they have, meet the judges. There still is time to tell them something about the entry that they didn't know. The discussion that we have at the judging panel has included things that people have learned over lunch from chatting to finalists. So be aware of telling people things and making sure that your message is clear about why you think you should win. But more than anything, just keep your eye open for who's around you and what they may be interested in. So we're really proud of what we've done with the awards. And one of the things that we've done is, we've always said, is what we're trying to do is introduce people and give people networking and confidence. And what I'd like to do is introduce one of last year's finalists, Femi, who's going to come up here and tell you a little bit about what he's done since he was in exactly this same event last year, because it is really, really cool. So, Femi. You have to press that to make it go.
Oh, hi, my name's Femi. I'm 11 years old, and last year I was one of the Young Pioneers finalists. Today I'm here to tell you about how this event was helpful to me, as well as the award ceremony. So this is me. A little bit of T-Rex and a lot of coding. So this is just an overview of some of the stuff that I've been doing. So firstly, in the middle, this was me at last year's event, where I was a finalist. There, I think the best thing was, as Mark said, the networking, which is going to happen afterwards. There I met the microbit people, and since then, because I've just started I just started a crowdfunder to go to Bangladesh in July, and I asked for some sponsoring, and Microbit sponsored me 100 microbits, which I can now take with me. Secondly, down here, this is the Pioneers group that we have of South London Raspberry Jammers. So we meet up every 3 weeks and we work on a little project together. And then, so I not only help my mum with the South London Raspberry Jam, but I also go around other jams and run robot workshops for them. Recently, I did one at something called TICFest for all my friends who also have Tourette's. That was a very interesting one. I also do a lot of talks like this around places, and this picture down the bottom is me at the Diana Legacy Award, St James's Palace, and I won the Diana Legacy Award. I think that was in May. Yeah. I think. What I've learned. Okay, so it's really important to network. So, as I said, with the microbit, I met them because I got to know them at networking events such as this, and it's come and helped, and they've come back and helped me later. Be inclusive, so you can include everyone, and they'll help and include you back. Crowdfunding is a great way for raising money. So not only do you get people to help you, not burden charities and that, but also it means you can get to know people through the crowdfunding, and different people, instead of just the community, can donate. Learn something and then show someone else how to do it. Well, I think that's how everybody learns. My overall message is Tech4Good. This is my blog, hackerfemo.com, and if you'd like to know a bit more, I've got some cards and I'll give them out later. Yep.
Cool. So he's in the room, and I just point out that so just the microbit thing. Microbit were one of last year's finalists for the Digital Skills Award. So the BBC Microbit was one of the finalists from last year, and that's how Femi met them, was at the networking event. So I'm now going to explain what we're going to do. You're going to split up into groups. So what I need to do is speak to the people who are the finalists about how the People's Award works, and I think probably given the numbers that we have, I'm going to get you to do that in 2 groups. So the 2 quite small groups, it will go a bit quicker, and then everyone else, the speed networking goes on in the room next door. So could I have everybody who's a finalist put their hand up again? Right, so they're broadly split. So if everybody's a finalist on this side, if you can stay in the room, everybody else, what's going to happen is you're going to go next door and you're going to do some speed networking for 45 minutes. And what that involves is imagining that you're sitting opposite Femi, explaining why you're here, and trying to work out what it is that you have in common and that you could find to help each other. And you've got 2 minutes to talk to each other, and then you've got to change seat. Now, in that 2 minutes, the thing to bear in mind is you're then going to go upstairs for lunch when we've finished. So this is just an introduction. Okay, so think about what it is you might be doing that other people may be interested in, and vice versa, listen to what they're saying. Don't try and have the whole conversation, though, because that's what upstairs is for, as long as you don't get distracted by the view. So you will find somebody here who it's really interesting to talk to, but you don't necessarily have to have that conversation in those 2 minutes. You're just looking for things. So what we've also given you is some big stickers and some Sharpie pens, and if you've got pens. So when you go into the speed networking room, pick up one of the stickers and write things on it like to help short-circuit the conversation you're about to have. So as you start having the conversations, start writing the words that you found were useful with the other person. So Raspberry Pi, jamming, Tourette's, young people, clever, really clever. Whatever. So, because what we want to do is, what we'll do is get you to give us the stickers at the end, and then we'll know some of the words that you've used to join yourselves together. And then we can reproduce those in a word cloud and share them with you through some stuff we're planning on doing on the website. So it's really, really useful for us today if you can record any words that you find yourself using to join yourself together. So at the moment, our classification for you is finalist, accessibility award. We might know that you work with young people. We don't know really anything else other than that particularly. So we're looking for you to tell us what you think the words are that join you together. Okay, so the speed networking is really simple once you're sitting down and doing it. So the quicker you do that, the better. And the people who are on this side who are finalists, if you can wait here, we've got 10 or 15 minutes worth of stuff to go through. The people who are finalists in that group, listen out for 3 sharp whistles, which is the universal sign for come back in here. And the others will be swapping over. And then the others of you who are guests, you'll just be speed networking all the way through that time. So we'll be introducing different people into the room. Okay, anybody got any questions? No, good. Oh, yes. So are you a finalist? Yes. So stay where you are. Okay. If you're a finalist in that half, go, but be ready to come back. Okay? Another question?